Well, we've got to Tails 36, 3 and 6 being 9, which is completion. Which in a way, this video, or should I say audio video, really is. Not that it will be the last video from this channel, but the content, the message that I'm going to share with you. I've proven beyond any doubt, or beyond reasonable doubt, which is good enough in the courts, and also don't forget courts has more than one spelling and yet shares the same sound. You've got courts as in court, as in you've been apprehended. You've got the courts as in crystal, and you've got things like tennis courts where you are effectively the ball in this reality being bounced by one side and then the other in this pincer movement. The good old dividers, divide and conquer instead of divide and concur within. You've got, well, I'm sure most of you have heard or have even considered, you've got this name or character called Satan, and you've also got Saturn, and how these things are sort of implied that one is the other, and so on and so on. But what's actually happening is you've got this program that's being run in this reality, this material reality, which is the S10 program, Spirit Eye On. It also, if you change the O and the I round, the I is also a lowercase l, so it's also Sol. It's in your lower self form. Let's put something into context here. Consider from a perspective of being the embodiment, the wholeness, the one. And do it as a physical body for this mental exercise. How would you feel if just one of your cells started dictating terms, started transmitting a message that that's good, that's bad, I don't like that, that's excellent, that's awful, and started making judgments and started dictating and controlling your whole body? How would you feel about that? Now let's put that out of the micro context into the macro context. So you have the wholeness, the one, God, if you want to call it that, the source of everything. So imagine now this creator being, this oneness, this source, has created things called humans. And you've got just say one human, the equivalent of one cell, is also saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, that's wrong, they're wrong, they shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. Do you see why things are the way they are? This is referenced into the eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And of course, then from eating from that tree of good and evil, making comparisons and then being judgmental on what is good and what is bad. But what about from the wholeness perspective? The S10 program is also encoded. Now if you add the sine wave on the end of it, you have Sion. As in Mount Sion, spiritual eye is on. It's the light. But its mirror counterpart is negative. Just look at the letter S, the spirit. Now flip it over, reverse it, give it its negative polarity opposite in this duality reality. But straighten it out and you'll have a Z or a Z. So the spirit eye on has now become the Zion. Now this control system of this reality, all it is doing is just putting out scripts. It has no power. The only power it has is what humanity gives it. So if they're giving you a negative script, like news reports, which have got to be sensational, got to be alarmist, generally negative, generally with a outlook of impending doom or gloom and so on, and then how do you feel from that? And of course that energy is going out from how you feel, you radiate it out, just like a magnet. You've got the magnetism, which is the extrinsic side, and the intrinsic side is the dielectric, which is right in the center of you. It runs up and down the spine, basically. The eye, the one, the straight line, the spine. It's a bit like a book. If you consider that when we talk about books, what do books have? They have a spine that holds everything together. So there's these scripts that are put out, and then the world really is a stage, and humanity acts out the scripts that are suggested. It is the power of suggestion. But look how easy it is to change it from seeing it from that perspective. Just don't feed into it. While we're just going round, keep giving our attention, which then causes attention, it's feeding off of our energy. So there is no they are doing this or they are doing that unless you include humanity in its lower consciousness form. That is the they. It's often speculated that these controllers of this reality have no power, and it's absolutely true. You've only got to look at the way the world is. Consider, when was the last time any government or any official anything did anything that actually benefited humanity? Not just a section of humanity, but all of humanity. You may look at the external things and just observe them. Now, there's certain countries that have solved plastic problems. I forget which one it is. It's one in the Far East, Southeast Asia, where they've made this beautifully landscaped area on what was basically a rubbish tip. So you have to ask yourself, if that was done there, why isn't such a brilliant idea then perpetuated in every other nation? What's stopping it when it is so clear that it's something of benefit? And you'll find different nations have different things, because it's all about divide and conquer, because the idea is to get you to attach to an ism, a sense of belonging. Now let's just take a little pause here for a minute. Sort of almost a change of topic in a way. When we go out into the world and we're looking for an ideal partner, we're effectively looking for something that mirrors us. That's something at a deep soul level, at the very heart of this. Leave aside all the lower conscious sexuality and any of that sort of thing. But the physical appearance actually does come into this, but not in the way you would think it would be. Last night, which was, I think it was Tuesday, I think we're on Wednesday today. Last night I saw my son. He's about 23 years old and looks exactly like me, but younger. This is exactly what Neville Goddard spoke about many times in the lectures. See, for example, Brian Scott channel. Or there's playlists with Neville Goddard lectures in this on this channel. That is the one you're looking for, because that one is you. That is your son, your S-U-N and your S-O-N. It's just a metaphor. But your son will appear to you at some point and will address you as my Lord, which indicates that you are the Father, regardless of whether you are in a male or female body, because this is a metaphor, and it's referring to the spiritual, the metaphysical, something that is outside of this material realm. You'll also see there's a lot of discussion, a lot of videos on the whole transgender thing. We'll just flip that over, because this is a physical play out, and where things are taken literally and played out figuratively in this physical reality. But what does it really refer to? It's nothing to do with male or female in the physical sense. It's to do with your divine feminine and your divine masculine, the unison of the both. That is the you inverse. That is the two that need to be brought back together to become the wholeness in an individual form. And from that, we will come together and become the embodiment. Humpty Dumpty put himself back together. That is the cosmic egg. That is all what we are, little parts of. You're in a human shell. That is part of the shell of this cosmic egg, this Humpty Dumpty. But look how complex and how puzzling and baffling this whole reality is. It almost seems cruel for me to say, and in a way disrespectful, when you consider over the implied centuries and centuries and centuries how many soldiers have really been played because they've been following orders. They've been relying on this thing called intelligence, which comes from a very suspect source, it would seem. This realm, as I've said before, is run like a business model, and as part of that business model, it's about speculation, it's about making a profit. And what does it tell you in scriptures about beware of false prophets? There is no accident to any of these words, and it really is right down to the shape of each letter. You can decode things from this that reveals a totally different reality to the one that we've been told. The fall of man is basically where we have been fooled, but we have been fooled by ourselves, by allowing our lower conscious to be influenced, to be guided by this S10 program that's running the negative default, testing everything living. It is a diagnostic zone, and you really don't want to die agnostic. It's better than being atheist, but of course, to die agnostic means you still don't know who you truly are. There is only one playing all the parts, just as Neville says. I have done exactly what Neville has suggested. I've accepted the challenge. I thought, yes, let's give this a try, and I have found it works. Now, the forecast, I mentioned this I think on 2 videos ago, the forecast for the next 10 days was nothing pretty much but rain. But today is another example of I'm not accepting that script that's been suggested. It's like I'm not having that weather. That's not what I wish to see. So I change the outcome by going to the future and remembering the future. Each day in this waking state starts with not even physically getting out the bed. The day starts with allowing the etheric and the eye organisation to come back into the body. That when you first wake up, that sort of you don't feel quite with it. That's because 2 of your bodies have not really come back fully home yet. They do a vertical loop as opposed to a horizontal loop. They go out through the top of your head, they come back in through the soles of your feet, just as Rudolf Steiner explains. Don't ask me what lecture it is, but it's something he's talked about. I'd have a job to actually. Probably have to go through and listen to quite a few to find exactly which one it is, but that will give you a really good understanding of what your component parts are. You're not just a physical body. You are not your opinions. You are not some label that you are given. You are not any of these identifying markers that you're encouraged to attach to. I'm a this, I'm a that, I support this, I identify with that. None of those things actually matter. It tells you in scriptures that God is no respecter of persons. What is a person? It comes from the Latin persona. It's a mask. That isn't the true you. It's the essence inside that is the true you. And guess what? I can only, along with many other people, can only guide. What I'm saying here is not original. I'm just giving you testimony from my own experience of confirming what has already been said, because there is nothing new under the sun. And where is the sun? It's your gut feeling. Everything below that is, it's a bit below the belt, you could say. But there's nothing new. It's all as it always has been, in the physical sense. Okay, there's slight differences, but generally the basic concept, the basic model is exactly the same for the human body anyway. So there is nothing new under the sun. All it requires is for you to meet that sun who will confirm who you are. That all happens internally. It's nothing external. It is nothing out there, up there. But it is all within you, and it is within your power to do this. I would invite you to try, as Neville Goddard suggests, and go down this route. It's about balance, so you've got to take the active steps to meet this sun halfway. It's not going to do all the work for you. It's not just going to come along and save you. But if you're open to it, and you get the concept of it, and then you start putting these things into practice, it will come like a thief in the night when you least expect it. That I can testify to. It just hits you like a wave. I've had several experiences of this. I mentioned it in one of the earlier Tales videos. It might have been number 7 or 8, if I remember rightly. Around about there anyway. Where I talked about crossing over a bridge. And it wasn't just a physical bridge that I crossed. There was that feeling of joy, of elation. I wasn't getting wet, although it was raining. And I had to check my shirt sleeves in disbelief, because my eyes are seeing this rain and seeing the puddles, and I'm not getting wet. And it's like, well, how is that possible? But then you start to see the evidence. Now, what's going on in this external world is a revealing of the darkness. With that revealing of the darkness, remember, we are in a realm of duality, will be a bringing of the light. This is very much like the coming to the closing night. So expect a grand finale from the negative polarity. But of course it will be balanced by the light that's coming. As I said, I think on 2 videos ago, if you have that feeling or that awareness that time is speeding up, that is an external reflection, because you are spiritually growing at such a rapid rate. And as I've said before, there are many souls out there who are dying to come into this reality, but there's an awful lot of souls here who are wishing to get out of this reality. What a waste. You've got this beautiful playground. Yes, it's the realm of death, but that's only an experience. Death is just the doorway. It's not the end. It's nothing to be fearful of. It's just stepping into the unknown. I do this every day. I step into the unknown because I'm met with different challenges each day. But I just observe, and I don't take on a negative feeling about anything. I just think, okay, for example, it's raining, but there'll be rain, but there'll also be sunshine. I just have to adjust my timing. It's like that line that separates the yin from the yang. It's an S. It's a spirit. It's curved. It sways, just like trees sway in the wind. If they were rigid, they would snap. It's about being flexible. It's about maneuvering your way through. Be as wise as serpents. So look at the movement of a serpent, of a snake. It's the way to navigate through this reality. You'll be met with challenges in life, and you can try and put up a negative force and push against it, but it'll be like the glass at a bank. If you try and hit it with a hammer, the hammer is going to bounce back with quite a lot of force. And you really don't want to be striking one of those windows and then have the hammer coming straight back at your face, really, do you? That would be a rather silly thing to do. So what you do, instead of meeting with a negative opposition to it, you just accept and say, okay, I see what's being presented here. I'm being offered a script. I don't think I'm going to take that script. No, let me correct myself there. It's not, thinking is not the worst thing you can do. It's just observe and then go with what feels right. If the script feels right, then yeah, maybe take it. But just check inside where it is coming from. Is it coming from the gut feeling? Is it coming from the heart? Or is it coming from the lower conscious mind? You have all these external distractions to stop you doing the very thing that will free you from those external distractions. That's the paradox of it all. So who really is your worst enemy? Who knows you better than you? Your lower conscious ego mind certainly does, or thinks it does, and it will try and lead you, and it will react to things. It will say, oh, I don't like that, be fearful of it, or chase after this, or I've got to know the answer to that. You don't have to do any of that. As I said before, act like a king or a queen. You don't go chasing after things, things come to you. So, get a grip on yourselves. Really find out who you truly are. And then, as part of that, consider what do you want to do in this reality? How do you wish to see yourself? What is the man or woman that you wish to be? So now you go with the law of assumption and you adopt that feeling as if you already are. And just watch the magic unfold and watch the world change around you. It may not happen within seconds, it may not happen within days. The more feeling and the more you can override what the external senses are taking in, and you're basically overwriting a program. You're doing a system rewrite. Just consider where we could go with this if we were all in harmony, all in unison on this one. As a unified field, a core of us, a chorus, all singing from the same song sheet. Just different ways of expressing exactly the same thing. And it is all, after all, frequency. But what do you frequently see? What is it that you're looking at? Where are you looking? Are you still looking externally? Are you thinking, oh, well, I don't have to do anything, something's going to come along and save me? Well, if you wish to put that to the test, then that's your choice. Personally, I would advise that would not be the best course of action and not the best course to plot. You are hopefully the captain of your vessel, and hopefully you're not on a Titanic course. Hopefully you are setting a course to find whatever you wish to find and do whatever you wish to do in this reality. And I hope you do find it, I really do. And on one final note, I must reprimand myself, and publicly. When I put out that appeal saying I'd sort of reached crisis point, no food, the biggest surprise, and it's partly because it was such a surprise, and it's with such gratitude, Julia from Simplicity Revealed channel, she came up trumps. She actually came out of her way and dropped me off a bag of food the first time and the second time. And in immediate, that was just what I needed. That was absolutely perfect. So thank you very much, Juliet, and I apologise for not mentioning that before on the previous two videos when I said the thank yous for the donations, because that is also a donation and I really do appreciate that. And that made all the difference on that last week. On that particular Sunday, all I'd got was a melon and the prospect of either foraging, but we're in that in-between stage where some things are not ripe yet, and other thing, we've got these Madrino berries, the strawberries and cream, something Julia mentioned about as well, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They do taste like strawberries and cream. They're absolutely beautiful. So nature does provide. It's just, I'm sure you've noticed how the seasons seem to have shifted a little bit and things like that. But if you put the right intention out there and you go to the end, remember the future as if you already have, there's another proof of it. There's another testimony for you. I had to take active steps, and I'm being in such an isolated place. There's very little options I'd got, but it's use what you've got, use what's at your disposal, what you have, and that is a Wi-Fi connection and a YouTube channel. So it's also with gratitude to YouTube. I know a lot of you have got a sort of negative perspective to a lot to do with YouTube, and there's the thing of the censorship. I've lost a few videos. I did say on one survey, it would be nice, instead of actually taking the video completely, that you just set it to non-public and actually cite what part of the video is in contradiction to the terms and conditions, and then the video could be remade without that bit in it. And that would be, I feel, a negotiable compromise that would suit. But whether YouTube would actually do that, whether I even listen to this, I have no idea. But for what it's worth, I am with gratitude to things like YouTube. I think it's absolutely marvellous. I think it's wonderful with the whole internet that I could potentially take a photograph, and within seconds that image would be right round the other side of the world, and I could say, well, look at the sky here, it's beautiful here today, and I could send that image and somebody would see it all that distance away. Almost instant, no loss of time or space. It again, there's a sort of materialistic imitation of the spiritual. Now imagine how much greater that is in the spiritual, the real broadband. But you have to go within inside to find it. So who is the gatekeeper? What is stopping you step through that door? Just consider that. Ask yourself these questions. Play this video back, and the questions that I've asked, ask yourself those questions. See what answers come back. Consider where those answers are coming from. Like I said, is it coming from the gut feeling? Is it coming from the heart? Or is it coming from the mind? You've got a trinity there. Right, 28 minutes, 29 minutes. I think that's a good place to stop. I suspect that there may be an announcement from the White House tomorrow. Something tells me there may well be. There'll be another video tomorrow, I feel, and we'll see what happens. I think it's all going to be wonderful. If you're in doubt of how it's going to be, then I suggest you listen to one of the astrology channels. Off the top of my head, Adrian Elise. We're not going into a winter of discontent. We're going into a winter of wonder, a winter wonderland. And this is going to go right through to sort of April time at least. There is absolutely nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, unless you accept those fear scripts. But if you can turn yourself away from all that and go within inside yourself and find the real you inside yourself, I think you'll find that your perspective will change, your feelings about this reality will change, and as a consequence, your physical being will change in a more alkaline way than an acidic way. And on a final closing note, how do I live each day? Well, there's one thing about this reality that is inevitable, and that is death. This is a realm where things are finite. So how to live each day? As if it's your last one. If you do that, that will also change your perspective, and you will start to value the time that you have, because it is limited. It's a limited edition, just like you are. There is only one of you. You are a unique, individual expression of the oneness. And as Adrian Lee says, you've got a body. That makes you the highest authority that there is. It doesn't mean authority over others. We've all got enough work to do to have authority over ourselves, our own you inverse, our emotions, our feelings. If we can master those, the micro is reflected in the macro. Look at how we could change this reality. Look how we could bring about this new earth. All from taking that simple step of going within oneself and changing the polarity within oneself and resetting yourself. That is your real great reset. Reset yourself to neutral, to everything. Just observe it. Import no fear of it. Just see things for what they are and see that most of it, pretty much all of it, is just an illusion. It's just an experience to go through. And outside the human perspective is very, very different. That I can tell you. So I'm going to say love to you all, and I hope that has inspired you. I hope that has at least put to bed a few fears about things. And I hope that you can find the real you inside yourself. Love to you all.